Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with PoE Texas. Today's host is Tyler Andrews, and he is their CEO, and he will be presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please submit them in the question box so that Tyler can answer them at the end of today's presentation. Tyler, I'm finished for now. Thank you so much for being with us today. Greatly appreciate it. Please go ahead and take it on over.
Julie, thank you for that introduction and this opportunity to present once again on Power over Ethernet to your Microcom audience. We very much appreciate it. Today, I'm going to hopefully clarify what is 802.3 BT PoE. All right, so let's just dive right in. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. And what is this newfangled Power over Ethernet, and what does it really mean for me? Make sure I kick off this slide correctly. If you've had any contact with this new PoE, you've likely seen it called by different names: PoE++, UPoE, or 4P PoE. And if you're like me, are they all different things? Are they all the same thing? Well, let me help you navigate the complex labyrinth that is the naming convention for the high-powered PoE standard. Let's start from a simple definition. What is Power over Ethernet? It's simply adding DC power to the pairs of a Cat5 or Cat6 cable. Normally, each of those pairs of wires can handle 30 watts of power without getting too hot. That means 30 watts out on one pair and 30 watts back on another pair. However, the only way to be able to send more than 30 watts means you have to use all 4 pairs of the Ethernet cable. 2 pairs going out and 2 pairs coming back. So any PoE running more than 30 watts of power will run on all 4 pairs of the 8-pair cable. Hence, 4-pair PoE, or that term 4P PoE. So that clears it up, right? Not so much. What do you really need to know about this standard? There are 4 main things you need to know about this higher power PoE, and it's laid out specifically in the IEEE standard for BT power. The standard covers any power from 45 to 90 watts at the power sourcing equipment, or PSE, and that's your switch, your injector. However, you need to know that even though the switch may put out 90 watts, power devices, or PDs, like your Wi-Fi access point or edge devices, can only expect 72 watts of power. Now, you may get more power if your run is shorter, but you can't guarantee any particular installation can give you more than 72 watts. So we always plan on 72 watts at the PD side. Now, there are 2 types of BT PoE. Basically, it comes down to the type of chips you have in your PoE devices. In practice, Type 3 PoE means it's pre-standard and typically offers about 60 watts of power. Type 4 means it came after the standard in 2018 and typically offers 90 watts. You can get 90 to 100 watts of power from a Type 3 device, but you need to make sure your PD, your PSE, both negotiate Type 3 PoE and just draw more power than the standard shows. Some PDs and some PSEs are Type 4 only. So, for example, a Type 3 injector won't negotiate full power with a Type 4 only PD, even though the rating on it says it can provide that much power. Finally, what's the deal with classes? Really, class 6 means 60 watt and class 8 means 90 watts. Look, I know it doesn't make sense to have a type and a class, but hey, we're engineers. If we can't mess with you on technical stuff, where's the fun? So with all of that context, we can finally answer the question, what is PoE++ and UPoE? PoE++ can be any type of PoE greater than 41 watts. That can be type 3 or type 4, and any class you want within that. For more details, ask to get the specifications on whether it's an 802.3 BT, what type it is, and what class it is. If you can't get it because it's not on the spec sheet or the guy you're talking to doesn't know, at this point you can typically assume it's type 3 class 6. It's the safe bet. UPoE is just a branding experience. Sorry, it's just a branding exercise that some of the manufacturers went through before the standard came out. With a capital U, expect 802.3 BT type 3. With Cisco's little u in UPoE, well, now that's a different story. UPoE from Cisco is a very low-level communication protocol called Link Layer Detection Protocol, or LLDP. Normally, it's really good. It's great for handling networking devices like computers and servers, making sure they're explaining who they are and why they're on the network. With PoE, the idea was that your power device would just boot on 15 watts of power, then send a packet of information back to the PoE switch, which would then increase the power to something higher, like 60 watts. It was a clever idea, but in practice, it didn't work very well. It added a lot of complexity and cost to the power devices while simultaneously slowing down the process of boot up. For practical purposes, you could just force the Cisco PoE switch port to output 60 watts of power and be done with it. Now, I'm going to wrap up my little presentation by answering the question, why deal with all this headache of PoE? The higher power PoE standard opens the door to a bunch of new opportunities. I covered most of these in my previous webinars here in Microcom. So definitely go back and check those out. In summary though, more power on one cable lets you reduce the number of cables run by powering devices like switches at the far end of the run. Or you can even use it to power extenders and extend the run of your PoE and your data. Possibly most important though, it opened the doors to a whole new range of projects you can do with PoE, like lighting. Let's check out a few of those videos. Well, if you're like Julie and me, you've probably got some Christmas shopping to do, so I'm not going to run long on today's presentation. But when you're ready to learn more, we have live PoE experts right here at Austin to answer any questions you may have and help you pick the right solution for your project. You can reach us at success@poetexas.com, or you can talk to a real person at 512-479-0317. We look forward to talking with you. And with that, I'll remind you, you can also find more on these topics in the Technical Center on our website, on Microcom, on YouTube, or speaking to your own PoE expert. Thank you for your time. And Julie, I've wrapped up early, I know, but I want to let everybody get back to their shopping for the holidays.
Thank you so much, Tyler. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you mentioning where anyone can go to find your recent previous videos on, like you said, YouTube. Tell us more about where we can find them on your website.
So if you go to our website, you can navigate to poetexas.com. And then if you want to see more technical content, you can go to our Learning Center. So if you go across the bar at the top, you'll see Learning Center. Click on Learning Center. You can see tutorials, you can see trainings, you can see video content. And then if you want to find out about a particular product, you can go right to the Technical Center. We have drawings, we have specifications, we have full manuals that include videos on how to do setups and configuration. We try and really make our online content as rich as possible. Now, I'll admit that means that we don't put a lot of paper in our packaging. You don't get thick manuals with each device. But from my perspective, that's actually pretty good. I don't like getting a lot of paper, and we're trying to do our part to help reduce the amount of paper load in the world.
Thank you so much, Tyler. And as we all know, whenever we have questions about products, even an older product, we can go online and we can find information on how to use it, perhaps how to update it, all that sort of stuff. So I'm really glad everyone, including PoE Texas, has a website to go to so we can find out all that wonderful information instead of having a booklet, a manual, all of that stuff. Like with our cars, you remember how big and thick the manuals would come when you would buy a car?
Yes, they're what keeps your glove compartment from closing properly.
That is correct. I actually have one for my car in an entire PDF. So thank you for that. And I do have some questions for you. Let's get started with the first one. Here we go. Will you further support 802.3 BT PoE on all of your devices soon?
That's a great question. Yes and no. So yes, will you be able to find switches, injectors, splitters, and products like that? Yes, you're seeing us evolve into that and adding more products to that category. And we're proud to think that we have some of the biggest ones. For example, we have 802.3 BT Type 4 PoE switches in 24 ports and 8 port that are full powered. And this is an interesting problem you find with PoE switches and injectors. Very often they say, well, I'm 802.3 BT, but I can only power 2 of my ports that much, and everything else must be regular PoE. And for a network administrator, that works, right? Because most cameras and IP phones and Wi-Fi access points, they really don't need 72 watts of power. We're looking at it from the perspective, though, that you do need it. You're doing lighting, you're doing automation, you're powering laptops and computers. So our switches are specifically designed to run 4-port and 8-port, 90 watts per port on every port. And we sell the power supplies to go with them so you can get that full powered experience. We feel like that's going to be really important. We also offer injectors and injectors to help you bring up your current switches to BT standard. And we have a wide range of power devices. Now I'm going to flip it to the other side. You don't take a baseball bat to swat a fly. So we still serve our PoE Plus and PoE products very efficiently because they draw less power on applications that don't need as much power. For example, our PoE to USB-C, we're well known for that. And for the longest time, it had to be PoE Plus power. but we've recently come out with a new product that takes it down to PoE only, make it more compatible with many more switches. It just means you can't power as large a tablet like a iPad Pro or Surface Go. The iPad Mini, the iPad Air, the iPad 10 Gen, the Samsung Tab, they all work on just PoE. So we scaled down to help make it a more affordable and more power efficient product. So you get a mixture. So we do have items at the top end and we have items at the bottom end, and we'll continue to produce those so we can get the most efficiently with cost and power.
Thank you so much, Tyler. You may have partially answered my next question, but here it goes. Do you think that 802.3BT PoE is reliable now to use, or do you think a standard AC power adapter is still needed?
Oh, it's very reliable, but I'm going to encourage you to also be considerate of what you're doing with it and the brands that you're using. The reason I say that is we have found if you're doing lighting loads, and lighting loads can be really tough on a PoE switch. Not all PoE switches and all PoE lighting solutions handle the top end very well. So we've tested our products to be very durable and very rugged. I do know that the Cisco switches, the 9400 series that are UPoE or BT, handle the lighting load very well. But a few of the other manufacturers test it before you take it out into the field. But they're getting very good and very reliable. It's had, the standard came out in 2018. We've had a good 4 years at this point to play with it. So I think you should feel very confident to use it, to start applying it. I don't think that you're going to regret it in the situation where you're asking, do I pull in conduit and AC power and put an AC outlet and maybe add an AC circuit compared to running a BT PoE Ethernet cable? It's 30% less. It's more efficient. I think you'll be happy if you choose it.
Thank you very much, Tyler. Let's go on to the next question. Regarding PoE lighting, and you did mention that, does this mean that you will also sell lighting products in the near future that's powered by PoE?
We do. We actually do today. And that's one of the things, sorry, Julie, I'm going to put you on the spot. We need to work with Microcom to get those listed onto the Microcom website. We do offer lighting, a full lighting solution today. We offer both the lights, the control system, and accessories and switches. So we have a full line of lighting products. Probably the easiest thing to get into is we have what we call a contractor pack. It's a single lighting driver. It has either 2 or 4 or any combination of lights and a light switch. All you do is plug it into a source. We even provide an injector with the kit. You just plug it in, power it on, and you can control the lights. And then if you want, you can expand that by adding our little server on there so you can control it from remotely. You can reconfigure all the devices, etc. So it's an interesting way to get in there. But yes, you can find through PoE Texas a full PoE lighting solution. I'll also mention too, we are one of the founding members of the PoE Consortium, which is a collection of all of the major PoE lighting manufacturers and people interested in that industry. That organization has been organized. We're inviting people to be members, and it's going to help do a couple of things like create industry standards. It's going to help increase collaboration between manufacturers and contractors, standardize on training and education, and help be an outreach program to encourage municipalities, authorities having jurisdiction, that PoE lighting is a solution that they should be looking for in their community. So look for the PoE Consortium. So that's my shameless plug for the PoE Consortium today.
Thank you so much, Tyler. That sounds exciting, all about the lighting products that you have. So yes, thank you for covering that. Let's go on to the next question. Can anybody have the liberty of installing the devices? In other words, are any network certifications needed?
Great question. So simple answer, there's, as with anything, there's no simple answer, but 90%, let's talk 90%. 90% of municipalities and customers don't specifically require specific certifications to run Ethernet cable. Now, Do you have to have a specific certification to actually set a PD or set a switch into a rack? No. Where you see the certifications are actually pulling the cable. And what we've got is in the city of Chicago and a few other municipalities, they're starting to write code that you have to be a licensed contractor to do BT power, BT PoE. It's not super common, but I definitely recommend if you're going to get into doing it on a large scale, like on a new construction project with lots of products, I would recommend going down to the city and just checking with the code officials. If you're just running one camera, it just depends on if a code inspector is going to show up. But there are a few municipalities like New York and Chicago where they're really strict about it. But in terms of, you have to have a permit, or sorry, some kind of license to actually set a PoE device, like a PoE light? No. There is an educational organization called BICSI, BICSI, that helps certify people on design and installation of networking systems. So you can be BICSI certified. What that does is it allows you to go to owners that are a little bit more savvy and specify, I want a BICSI certified installer, I want a BICSI, they call it an RCDDs, the person who actually does the design drawings or the field drawings. So BICSI, BICSI, is an organization that certifies people for low voltage installations. It's a great organization. We're members. We love being a part of it. But if you're doing small to medium installations, like I said, like running a PoE camera system, probably not. But so there's a little bit of a gray area. It's not super defined. But yeah, that's kind of, hopefully I've given that its complicated answer.
Thank you so much, Tyler. Appreciate it very, very much. Next question here for you. Are PoE Texas towers ready devices with IP67 rating?
IP67. So if you're curious, what does IP67 mean? The IP rating standards is a method to measure how, I guess, waterproof or water protected your device is to allow you to be outside. And the answer is we do sell some IP67. I'm sorry, by the way, IP67 is rated to be exposed to the elements. It's not rated to be actually submerged in water. It's a different IP standard for if you want to like plan to put it in the river or in the lake. But IP67 typically covers, you can have it installed outside, it can be rained on, it can get wind on it, and it's got temperature range. It's not waterproof, meaning you can't, like I said, you can't submerge it in water and let it sit there, but you can get it wet. We do have several IP67 rated products. In particular, the extender that we sell on Microcom is IP67 rated. There's also an element that you want to consider when you're talking about going outside, and that's surge protection, because any wires outside run the risk of being hit by lightning, frankly. And we do also sell products that are not IP67 rated. They're rated to be installed inside your building, where most PoE products are, but then they're also surge protected. So if you wanted, you could put our product in an IP67 rated box and put it outside. So it depends on the product. We do call out whether we're IP67 rated on our specifications. So check it out. But yeah, it's a cool standard. We don't have everything IP67 rated, simply because the demand is kind of specialized. But if you're in that special industry and you need it, you need it.
Thank you so much, Tyler. Getting back to lighting that we talked about earlier, question here is, are the lights LED?
Yes, great question. And the answer to that question is, if it is a PoE powered light, it has to be LED. So all PoE lighting is LED. I'm trying to think if there's any kind of weird exception, and there's not. It's just that PoE is so much more efficient and it works very well with PoE. Having said that, a good PoE lighting control system isn't limited only to LEDs. So, for example, I'm putting together a quote today for what's going to be a giant greenhouse and grow installation, the light fixtures are 800 watts. We talked about it earlier. PoE runs at 72 watts. It does not make sense to run basically 8 Ethernet cables to one grow light in a grow facility that's got 48. I mean, this doesn't make sense. So a good PoE-based lighting control system can control AC circuits as well. In that case, AC just makes much more sense. So what I would say is, if you're looking at it and you're like, well, am I limited because I can't do PoE or can't do LED because it's light or pump load or AC, that means it's not really worthwhile doing PoE. I'd say look at the right PoE lighting manufacturer. Our PoE lighting solution, for example, can handle AC loads both that are direct wired to a relay panel or remote installations, can handle dimming. It runs the gambit of solutions. So a good PoE lighting control system isn't limited to LED lighting, but all PoE lights are LED.
Excellent. Thank you so much for giving us all that extra good information, Tyler. We greatly appreciate it. Couple more questions here for you. Next one, regarding your PoE switches, are they cloud manageable?
Ooh, another great question. You get great questions here. So today, like as of December 2022, they do have a local web interface. Q1 of 2023, we are launching our full management system. So what we're doing is we're using our PoE lighting management system. It's a whole control system, and we're incorporating the switches into that system. What that would allow you to do is to do basically cloud management. You also have local network management, so the devices are controlled by a local network server. And our goal with that, it's an interesting question, is our main goal with that is we want it to be ready for operations. There are a lot of great solutions out there for IT managed systems where you're managing, phones, and you're managing laptops, and you're managing PC towers. There are a lot of great solutions out there, but there are not as many really powerful solutions for the operational technology world. That's digital signage, lighting, signage. Sorry, I said signage. Digital signage, lighting, HVAC, access control, all of the building operations. The IT tools really aren't built for those and aren't scaled to the right thing because they need different things. Like a good IT person, you need to know what apps I'm installing on my computer and what web pages I'm going to. For a door, a light, you don't care about that. What you want to know is uptime, power draw, temperature, specifications. So what you're going to see us doing is launching it, our control system that will be cloud-based, that will give you full management of all the switches, and will make it easier for operations people, not just an IT expert. An IT expert can definitely use it, but it's built for those OT specialists to be able to manage their building. And we feel like that's going to be an exciting future for our products. It'll cover switches, routers, injectors. You'll basically be able to see any OT device on your network and manage those OT devices locally. You'll be able to map out your network. You'll be able to create as-built. You'll be able to trace circuits, the whole 9 yards. We're very excited about it. That'll be Q1 of 2023.
Excellent. Thank you so much for touching base on that. I love it when people are talking about, especially as 2022 is coming to an end, a little bit of information about what we're looking for, what you plan to offer Q1 2023. So that's exciting, especially your entire lighting line. So hopefully, and I know Microcom will be very interested in that. Last question here for you, Tyler. Here we go. Are the injectors universal for all third-party switches?
Ooh, another excellent question. By nature, an injector is universal for third-party switches. So a PoE injector, especially one of ours, can allow you to add PoE to any PoE switch. You could add it to a non-PoE switch. Let's say I've got a specific switch I like. It gives me the network management, but it doesn't have PoE. It adds PoE to that switch. You can add it either one port or multi-port. But it also allows you to add PoE. So let's say I've got a PoE switch that's PoE plus. I love my PoE plus switch. It's great, it's configured, it's operating, but now I need to add a PoE device. I've got a bigger camera, I've got a bigger Wi-Fi access point, I need to go to BT. It is, I've done this experience and I share this with people. We were upgrading our network one time and my IT guy came in and he's like, hey, I should be able to have this done in a weekend. We're going to upgrade your switches, you get more PoE, you'll get more control. It's fantastic. It'll take the afternoon. 8 weeks later, we're still trying to suss out those little bitty settings and configurations that got set over time that let us work that went away. So I always explain to a professional who's doing the install, as much for your life and your sanity rather than getting calls back from the owner. Oh, my computer doesn't work. It's slower. Why is my network all shoddy? An injector, you can use an injector to even add PoE to an existing PoE switch. So you can go from PoE plus or PoE plus to PoE plus plus. It opens the door. But yes, an injector should work with any switch as long as you make sure you get the right data rate. If you've got a gigabit switch and a 10100 injector, you're only going to be able to get 10100 through the injector.
Tyler, thank you so much for answering all those questions for us today. And thank you to everyone joining today's webinar. And if anyone has any further questions, of course, please feel free to contact your sales rep here at Microcom, and you can email us at sales@microcomtech.com. And if you wish to view any of the products mentioned or shown today, please know that this webinar has been recorded and will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel so we can all view it again. Thank you, Tyler. Have a fantastic day. Until next time, hopefully Q1 2023, right?
Yep, Q1 2023.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. Have a fantastic day.
Happy holidays.